So we'll go ahead and get this party started here with Tlaloc first. Again, I talked about both these units on Twitter today. They're both very, very interesting. So we'll start here with her. Essentially, she is going to be, and I believe she's permanent. I haven't seen anything to suggest otherwise. So she should be our second permanent 4-star pretender. However, she is going to be a AoE quick pretender. So not quite your average pretender in that regard. Obviously, I think a lot of people just really like her design. I'm not going to bother going through the Ascensions. If you want to see that, I posted them to Twitter. I'm not going to bother spoiling people, but it'd be what it'd be. So, taking a look at this here real quick here, you guys can obviously see she's got 2 Q, 2A on the cards. Given the fact she's a quick-based unit, I think having 2 arts cards is actually really, really nice. We actually see over time a lot of quick units having instead the second buster card, or maybe even a third quick card. So I definitely like that, at least for her in terms of carding. And you can also see that she gets a steroid that basically lends herself to that. Again, her max attack is not that strong. It is sub 9k, but I'm largely okay with it still. Where I have told people before is anything in the 9k range for a 4-star tends to be okay, tends to be pretty good. It's where you start seeing like some 10k plus units. They do exist, they're very rare, but there are some 4-stars that have 10k plus attack. They're very good for a 4-star. 9k is good. Anything less than 9k is like, okay, I take it on a case-by-case basis, but 8.7 you're pretty close, so you're not doing too bad there. Again, HP value is a little bit thicker than as a result, and that's definitely not bad. She is Earth attribute herself, and again, you guys can actually see the hit counts here as everything is average or above. Again, really, really nice there in that regard. She's also got the 5 hit extra. Now, just looking at it again, she's got pretty standard star weight and star gen, so nothing to be crazy about on that one. And then we get to her first skill here. Now, this one is going to increase her own NP by 30% charge, and it's going to give her an NP acquisition status every turn for 3 turns. What does that mean? That's charge per turn. So she gets 10% charge per turn for 3 turns, and then also gives waterside battlefield for 3 turns. So she is yet another unit that changes the battlefield to water. We've talked about this before. There's a couple other units now that do, I believe, Melt Lancer does. I also believe, Yellow Turban guy, Zhang Zhu, also, and I probably just butchered that name, change the field to water when possible. So there are some options. I like the fact that we're starting to get a little bit more of these. And actually, I'm starting to notice a little bit of a trend, one that may be coming up here. We'll just have to watch and see. I think you're starting to see a little bit more Lasingles playing around with battlefield properties. And that is going to be something I think to watch as we head forward in the game. So again, that's just a thing there, and nothing too much else with that skill. Her second skill here is going to increase the attack power of all allies for 3 turns, again by 20%. Increase critical power 3 turns, so again 20% to the entire party. And then grants a definite state, so that's sure hit, and removes guts removes 1 guts from all enemies. So if an enemy has multiple guts, it obviously will not remove them all, but it basically goes across the board to all the enemies and removes 1 guts from them. So that can be really nice for some gimmick fights, some challenge quests, or again, just maybe a really annoying story boss. So that actually, I think, is probably one of her best things. We don't really see anyone else with this sort of thing. Instead, we just see people that basically, again, just outright buff strip, which can remove guts. But it's an interesting one because this is only going after specifically guts. And it's also going to reduce the target's defense when guts is successfully removed for 3 turns. So it is a punishing move that will not only remove the latest guts from each enemy in the enemy field, it's also going to then apply a 3 turns worth up to 50% defense down to them. So really, really nice. If you're facing an annoying boss with guts, she really seems like someone that's just going to be able to hit them hard as a result of that. But just again, remember, she's AoE, so this is a little bit of a weird matchup here, and it more seems like it's designed to punish gimmick fights where you're facing several enemies with guts, or a fight in which someone can put guts on their allies. Here with skill 3, now we have Moonlake EX, and again, this one's going to increase the quick card performance for 3 turns and arts card performance for 3 turns of 30% each. It is going to also increase the critical power for 3 turns of another 30% and apply damage cut to all allies 3 times 3 turns of 2000. That's actually a fairly sizable damage cut. That's actually a fairly nice one, I would say, especially at 3 times 3 turns. It's not a hard defensive skill, but I'll take it. That's certainly nice. I think that is going to be one of her biggest concerns, is actually having hard defense then as a result of that, but it is what it is. As we look at the NP here, she increases her own Noble Phantasm power. And again, this is AoE quick, so we'll talk a little bit more about it here. It's 6 hits, so you guys can judge it based off of that. But it's going to increase own Noble Phantasm power for 1 turn first, so that's NP damage up. And again, this scales with NP level. So, sorry, not NP level, overcharge. So again, the more ranks of overcharge you have, the more likely you are to have more here. But unless you're dealing with an actual overcharge buff, you probably don't care too much about that. Again, though, you will see there is some other stuff in her kit. But okay, so she's got increase own NP gain for 1 turn when on waterside battlefields. So now you guys can see that first skill actually coming into usefulness. Really, you didn't gain any other benefit from it, but this is really nice. The downside is because of this, that means you really want to pop her 30% charge skill on turn 1 as a result. So that way you get the NP charge per turn going, and you also get the waterside field for the NP gain every time she NPs. That's interesting one right there. That kind of makes her a little bit restrictive as to when she can use her skills. I don't like that. Obviously it's not the end of the world, it's not necessarily bad. I just don't like it when I get forced to use a charge when the devs want me to versus maybe the best opportune time for me. So that definitely is a thing that concerns me with this unit, but still, this is a unit that, at least based off of our projections, appears like they're going to be able to again be able to loop from 0. So really nice in that regard. Granted, it's quick, and I am talking a 3 enemy setup at that point, but still should be possible. Okay, so back to the NP here. So again, increases on NP gain on fields with waterside. Also, powerful attack on all enemies. Don't read anything into that. That's just, hey, deals damage, right? And then also increases the NP damage of all allies excluding herself. So that's also why it happens after the damage goes out, right? But basically after damage goes out, then it applies NP damage to the rest of the party. So certainly this seems to be indicating that she should be used almost in a multi DPS setup. Like, hey, you've got some other unit that's going to deal damage. Maybe that other unit, Summer Scotty, right? Maybe that other unit just supposed to be another actual damage dealer, and maybe Quick is headed more towards this sort of dual setup type of situation. It certainly could be possible. Again, I've talked about this. One of the biggest things to me that Quick needs in my mind is probably a multi-charge support. So somebody that actually can break up their charge and maybe charge the party. I think that would really help Quick out in the long run, and we haven't seen it yet, but we might see it into the future, and I'll talk about that actually once more later tonight. But again, so you guys can see she's got a 0.58 NP gain rate. That's not bad. It certainly could be a lot worse. We started to see a lot of these arts units with anywhere from, I believe it was like 0.37 on Nitocris to like 0.43 here. I believe that was Cure. So you started to see like quite a few units that are basically down in this like low NP gain range, and a lot of that's just because they're facilitating it with extra charge. In her case, they buff her up a little bit there, but she should, again, definitely be somebody that can loop from 0, so we don't necessarily care. I think the bigger concern for Quick and stuff like that in general is, what do you do then when it's a non-standard node comp, where it's like, oh, hey, the node you're in is like, 2-1-2. Okay, great. How do you handle that with Quick? Well, the reality there is you're probably critting a wave down. And so this is something I still think that needs to be addressed, but ultimately at the end of the day, I don't think this makes her a bad unit. So any unit I'm going to say that can basically loop against 3 enemies from 0 is not bad, and definitely at least capable. It's more of a sign of, hey, they just need Quick to have better options in that regard. And I think that'll come with time. So again, looking at her, she is a permanent 4-star. You certainly do not have to roll for her, but I think a lot of people find her cute, and they are definitely going to go after that. And I will say, at least she's not bad in that regard. Just real quick here, I just wanted to touch on the passives. She does have territory creation EX, even though she is a, again, quick unit. Divinity A+ for some additional flat damage added. Again, critical power extra on waterside fields up to 20%. So you guys can see she's going to be a little bit built to crit and live on that waterside field. Again, also gets an arts card performance increase of all allies except herself. This is another weird sort of, hey, this applies to the rest of the party, but not to her. I'm not really sure what they're going for with that one, especially since they made it arts. This feels like she was supposed to be AoE arts in a weird way, but I digress. And then again, that is kind of her weird trait here. Now, the other unit that we're going to talk about here in a second also has another weird trait, but just kind of to wrap things up on Tlaloc, again, I think she could certainly be a capable pretender for you. She doesn't necessarily have that much in the way of support, but still, she does at least have some nice aspects if you were to combine her and put her into another party. Like I said, to me, the big selling point on her is not only her ability to strip guts, but to punish it. And that seems to be a really, really nice feature.